Charles Price, late director of the San Antonio Baptist Association, said that the typical cost to plant a new church in the United States is an astounding $2 million. Jim Henry, pastor of First Baptist Church of Orlando, said, "Our 2 church plants are going to cost us about $2,450,000 over a 3-year period." So I would suggest that we think twice before spending big money on buildings that sit empty most of the week. Money that arguably is better spent on evangelism, benevolence, missionaries, pastors. Most people that know about these things will say that Christianity appears to be receding in the West and in the United States. I know of a Southern Baptist Seminary professor who advises the seminarians that they should be prepared to be bivocational pastors of a small church because there won't be enough people in the church to support them. If that's true, consider this. The church planter himself has housing costs. He's got to live somewhere. So if the church planter or pastor could rent or buy a suitable home to host the church, that would free up funds otherwise going for rent to support him and give the church a place to meet. Church funds otherwise diverted to a building. So there are requirements for a suitable house, though. Charles Spurgeon said there would be a great deal of good done if persons who have large rooms in their houses would endeavor to get together little congregations. So one prerequisite is the house should have a very large meeting room that can hold scores of believers. Might be necessary to add on to the house. There needs to be ample and discreet parking, off-street parking. Maybe a house could be rented across from a school or a business that's closed on Sundays, or a house with a large enough lot that you can get the cars off the street onto the property. And ideally, this house should be on a busy street. Even if you get all the cars off the street, people don't like a lot of cars driving through their neighborhood every Sunday, so if it could be on a busy street, that's more ideal. Searching out the right house is worth the effort. The right house has a big room, ample parking, on a busy street. Now, if you need to rent the dynamic equivalent, then maybe a restaurant would work. You're going to be eating anyway if you have the Lord's Supper as a meal. A storefront situation, a school cafeteria, community center, apartment clubhouse, but wherever it is, as much as possible, it should have a homey feel with homey furnishings. A large enough meeting area to hold, 120 people? And when you arrange the room, don't put all the chairs in a row. There's no reason for that. At least put them in a semicircle so people can see each other. It should have a kitchen and a dining area in it. It should be child-friendly, safe play area for the kids. If there's a long fellowship time after church, there's got to be somewhere for those kids to go where they are safe. And as we've already seen, it should have plentiful parking. So in conclusion, we're saying that smaller churches are a divine design because the function of a New Testament church is best carried out by the form of the New Testament church. We want you to think small in a really big way, to think small without being small-minded. New churches grow faster than established churches. So we're arguing for growth through multiplication of other smaller churches, to continually train up and send out new leaders and new groups. Clusters of people should be sent out. We want you to be a small church that starts new small churches that start other small churches. As I said before, there are 400,000 churches in America with an average size of 100. If only 10% start a new church in the next 5 years, that would be 40,000 new churches. That's something to get excited about. The point is, every New Testament letter written to a church was written to a church that meets in someone's home. The function of a New Testament church is best carried out by the form of the New Testament church because the activities in the New Testament were designed to work in smaller settings. That's why our premise is that smaller churches have strategic, divinely designed size advantages if they play to their relational strengths. Now, Paul wrote to the church in Thessalonica, and he said, Stand firm and hold to the traditions that you were taught by us. Arguably, this small size is an ancient church tradition given by Jesus and the apostles for effective ministry. And the Bible says, God chose what is foolish in the world to shame the wise. God chose what is weak in the world to shame the strong. God chose even things that are not to bring to nothing things that are, so that no human being might boast in the presence of God. If you want to read more about this, we have a book on growth strategies Jesus left the early church called New Testament Church Dynamics. You can get it off our website, ntrf.org. You can also find MP3s. You can listen to this and other talks as you drive. We have a workbook to help you teach this called The Practice of the Early Church. It's laid out in Socratic format. And we have videos on YouTube that are like pastoral tutorials on growth strategies of the ancient church. You'll find a persuasion strategy for consensus, a communion strategy for community, a worship strategy for participation and edification, and a traditions strategy for success in ministry. I'm Stephen Atkerson, New Testament Reformation Fellowship. Thanks for watching.